Can we talk about infidelity for a moment?
Yeah, that's a great thing to talk about.
Yeah, I'm wondering, do you see typically, can you pinpoint a reason why it happens?
Yes.
Whether it's from the male side or the female side.
Absolutely, absolutely. And and you know what? You sparked for me too, Megan. We should preface this by saying, have you ladies ever heard a guy say, or even a woman say, that's just how guys are?
Oh, all the time.
Or he's a man.
Right.
Like, it's a given that men cannot be monogamous. And it's funny, and maybe it's my own personal experience growing up in my family with my father and my two younger brothers and my younger stepbrother. All three of my brothers who are, we've confided in each other a lot over the years. I mean, we've told each other stuff. And, but my three little brothers are like, but they're not so little anymore. My one brother, Danny, whose birthday is tomorrow, his birthday is tomorrow, May 14th, has always said, stop calling me your little brother. He said, I'm not your little brother. They're grown men. They're grown-ass men.
He just wants you to say younger.
He's being funny. Yeah, my younger brothers, my three younger brothers. But my father was always very monogamous and a devoted person. And my mother was too. My parents were monogamous and they got divorced and then they started dating around. But my brothers ended up like my dad. They're very monogamous, committed family men. They're all three of them wanted marriage and children and a beloved. So really good men. So I want to clarify one thing. When it's said that's just how men are, men are dogs. Men are going to cheat because that's how men are wired. That is not true. This is true, though. Here's the reason why it seems so chronic, prevalent with men to cheat, but women cheat too, obviously, we know, is because men who are not trained in the feminine ways, men who are having masculine-oriented sex, are in fact more likely to cheat on their mate. A man and masculine-oriented sex is this, and this is what men are all trained to do, masculine-oriented sex, goal-oriented sex. And the goal is, do you ladies know what the goal is in masculine-oriented sex?
To finish.
The ice cream cone at the end?
Yeah, the ice cream cone at the end. To finish. What?
To finish.
To finish.
Right.
The orgasm. They're having sex to get an orgasm. That's the goal in masculine-oriented sex. Feminine-oriented sex is not goal-oriented. It's purpose-oriented, and the purpose is connection. Connection, depth of experience, extending the ecstasy as long as possible, the slow building of the ecstasy. So I've always said that when I'm teaching Tantra, I teach a lot of Tantra occasionally. I mean, I teach a lot of Tantra individually because when I'm doing couples counseling, I do give tantric exercises. But I've always said that women heat up like a steam kettle and men heat up like a firecracker. So a man having masculine-oriented sex, which is goal-oriented sex, is designed to... So when he's kissing her, he's thinking, how soon would be too soon to put my hand down her pants? Because that's really the reason why I'm kissing her. I'm not kissing her to drink her in. And this is not all men, so men don't get upset with me. This is not all men, but this is a man in the immature masculine, and usually it takes a man some time and or to meet a good woman that he falls in love with to be able to step up into the mature masculine, where it's not all about the goal. The goal is the orgasm. Even a man in having masculine-oriented sex in the immature masculine who is trying to please the woman, he's trying to get her to orgasm because that means he won. He accomplished a goal. I did it. I made her come. So it's still about feeding his ego or his needs. A man who's in the mature masculine and having feminine or masculine oriented sex is pleasuring his woman because there is so much joy and ecstasy in just playing her body like a virtuoso who is a master cellist, as opposed to just, picking up a, ukulele or a banjo. No offense, ukulele or banjo players. Those are great instruments too, but like banging out a tune and not that animal sex is not bad. Animal sex is fine. It's just the reason why women shut down sexually is because of too much masculine-oriented sex. Watch for my TED Talk, my Fountain Hills TED Talk, coming up in God knows when after the quarantine's done. So, Megan, back to your question, which is like the most important question, which is, why do people cheat? Why? Why do they cheat? So there's specific reasons. There's 4 specific reasons, and people cheat because of one or more of these 4 reasons. So whenever couples come in and they're working on an infidelity, I always ask them, the person who cheated, I ask them these questions. Which one or more of these 4 is the reason you cheated? Something was missing from the relationship. Something's actually missing. And the cheater either didn't have the guts, the nerve, the courage, or the language to be able to say to their mate, there is something I really need from this relationship that isn't there. And we have to fix this or I will have to leave the relationship. So something's missing and they don't have the maturity or the courage or the language to say so. The second reason is a punishment or a payback. So sometimes people cheat because they're mad at their mate and they're immature, and they, instead of talking to their partner and working things out with their mate, they cheat on them to punish them. Very immature. The third reason is maturity. Some people just really don't have the level of maturity it takes to state a commitment, take a vow, make a commitment to somebody for monogamy, and keep the commitment, keep their word. Like some people are just not grown up enough to realize my word is my bond. What am I if not my word? I'm nothing if not my word. So some people just aren't grown up enough to realize that. And the fourth reason is self-hatred. So some people just have a certain degree of self-hatred that they will sabotage any relationship they're in. It doesn't matter. It's not about you. It's that they have a certain disdain for themselves that they will screw up anything good for themselves. Something good in their life, they will screw it up. So it's a kind of self-hatred. So I'm just going to go over those quickly. Something's missing, a punishment or a payback, lacking maturity, self-hatred, leading to self-sabotage. So those are the 4 reasons a person will cheat. It can be one or more of those reasons. Go ahead.
So it sounds like with the last 2, those are personal issues. It has nothing to do with the partner. Really, all of these are kind of personal issues, right?
Right. But you're right. The first 2 are about the other person.
Right. But the
A
last
reaction.
2 are, sounds like something they probably came into the relationship with from the get-go.
Absolutely. Which they did all 4, but you're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're dealing with a person who's dysfunctional, most of us have some level of all of these things, right?
Dysfunction, yep.
Yeah.
We all have our issues.
It's like, how do you find the person who has overcome all of that and mature enough and communicative enough and healthy and strong enough to really be in a monogamous marriage?
Beloved relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? We should talk about that piece. You bring this up in this really, really important part too, about monogamy.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that.
Yeah, so we're going to do a segue and then we're going to remind me what you just
Okay.
asked me, because really important question.
Okay.
Not all people are naturally monogamous, and that's completely okay. Like, some people are right-handed, some people are left-handed. So there isn't a right and wrong in terms of monogamous or polyamorous. So when couples come in to work with me on infidelities, I almost always ask them, unless they've already told me, I always ask them, is this an open relationship, or is this a monogamous committed relationship? So I did have one couple a couple of years ago, and it was a semi-open relationship. So there's open, there's semi-open relationships. So there's wide open, all the way open. Do what you want with whom you want, and let me know or don't let me know. Here's our agreement. You make agreements. Then there's relationships that are semi-open. There's a monogamous commitment, and then with a conversation and a talk. Yes, you can go be with that person, or do you mind if I sleep with this person? There's a conversation and an agreement. Then there's a continuum. There's triads, there's quads and up, and there's monogamous. It's just those two people. That's it. And then, of course, there's celibate, which means you can pleasure yourself, and there's abstinent, which means you don't have sex with anybody else and you don't pleasure yourself. Abstinent. So sometimes people practice abstinence for spiritual growth. It's a great thing to try if you've never tried it. It's and also great to try celibacy. Okay. So the couple that had a semi-open relationship, they came in to see me a few years back. They had agreements to speak with each other if they wanted to sleep with somebody else. And the issue was they wanted to do counseling because she had found that he had privately messaged a woman that he had slept with her permission. And that was against their agreements. And so they had to work through that trust. So it works the same in a open relationship as it does in a monogamous relationship. It depends on what your agreements are. So for what we're talking about more monogamy, although these concepts work just the same in a semi-open or an open relationship, because it's all based on agreements. So in a monogamous relationship, now your question. Say your question again.
Well, how could anyone be healthy enough to enter a healthy monogamous relationship?
Right. So you're so right, Megan. People have their issues, their obstacles, their programming, their traumas from childhood that interfere with their beloved relationship. And beloved relationship is like prime, fertile ground to shine the light on any unresolved issues that need to be resolved. Like more than any other kind of love, maybe parent-child love is the other one that is more triggering. But in a beloved relationship, it's even more triggering than a parent-child relationship, because in a beloved relationship, you feel like you could walk away, but you choose to stay and work on it if you're mature enough. In a parent-child relationship, even if you walk away, you still feel like you're connected to that person through blood. So it doesn't feel like a chosen relationship. You don't feel like you could just walk away and decide, I'm going to forget about that person because it's your parent or your child. So that's harder in that respect. But beloved relationship is harder in the respect that you decide to stay and work on things. And when someone has the maturity to go into a beloved relationship and give their word in a monogamous relationship to be monogamous and to talk about issues that come up, that is a lot of people learn their maturity through beloved love. That's where they do their growing up, because this person could leave you if you screw up too badly. And boy, if I've said this once, I've said it 1,000 times. Well, if I've said this once, I've probably said it 10,000 times. Most people don't have the mental emotional maturity to have beloved love. Most people do their growing up in their beloved relationship. So some of the most important things, I think, and I've interviewed a lot of people, and especially my brother Jimmy and his wife Ilana, who have been together for like 25, 26 years and 5 kids. When I watch them and I see what they have that works, it looks like it's respect. They listen to each other's opinions. They hear each other, and humor. So those two things get them through a lot. And they have chemistry. I think you have to have chemistry. If you don't have chemistry, that's not a thing that we can conjure up. So when people come to me and they say, our sex life is gone, which is another great topic, our sex life is gone, then I say, okay, well, first thing I want to know is, was there chemistry in the beginning? Because if there was no chemistry in the beginning, we can't conjure that. That's a magical thing all its own that makes you addicted a little bit to that person so that you'll stay and work on things. So there's two other things about infidelity, and then I want to hear more from you guys, that determines whether or not people get over it or not. So those 4 reasons that people cheat, the cheater, for lack of a better word, has to understand which of those reasons they cheated so that they know exactly what to work on. So if they cheated because something's missing, they have to get really good at saying what's missing and expressing their thoughts and feelings and getting that missing thing in place in their beloved relationship and being responsible for saying when they see it starting to slip away, because old habits die hard. So people have to understand, if I'm immature and my style is to get mad at you for something and then be passive aggressive and do some kind of payback, well, I'm going to have to really watch myself like a hawk, practice self-observation so I can get over that. A payback? Cheating on somebody? I mean, really? Anyway, and having the maturity to give your word and keep your word, and to work on your self-hatred. You know how we do that. How do we do that? How do we work on self-hatred in study group?
Self-hatred?
Yes. What do we do talk about the most in study group?
Mean liar voices,
Yeah.
observing your thoughts.
Self-observation.
Yes. What is self-observation and what are mean liar voices?
So mean liar voices are, I like the way, Megan, you always explain it. You say it's like, so it's the things that you say to your subconscious and you're not really aware of it. When you say things to yourself like, I'm not good enough, I can never amount to that, and sometimes you're not really aware of it. So when you start actually observing your thoughts and you start to catch those mean liar voices and realize, shut up, get out of my head, you don't own me, and you start to kind of retrain your brain and give yourself more positive thoughts where you're not, breaking yourself down. Because sometimes we don't know where those thoughts come from. They can come from our childhood. They can come from just not being confident enough. But we all have them, whether we realize it or not, and we just have to be aware of it and realize, okay, shut up, get out of here, you don't own me. And slowly but surely you start to realize that I can overcome this, I deserve more, I deserve better things in life, and eventually it works. I think so.
Yeah. Beautiful. How do you describe it, Megan?
Yeah, I just think of it as that internal dialogue that has been with us, nagging us for so many years that we don't even recognize it or hear it anymore. It's kind of like when I get in the car and people are like, put your seatbelt on because the bell has been dinging for 10 minutes. I don't even hear it because I ignore it. I'm sorry, I do. And so it's like, that's the voice.
But you changed that, right? You started wearing it.
I'm working on that, yes. But it's like that voice, it's like we don't even hear it anymore because we've heard it for so long. Oh my God, screwed that up again. Oh my God, is this really going to happen? It's that negativity. And it takes stepping back and being that fly on the wall, looking down at your own life and your own mind and your own brain and seeing what's going on. And wow, look at that dialogue. What if you said that to someone else? Would you say that to your best friend?
Right.
Your child?
Right.
So
yeah. It's having like the bird's eye view or the God's eye view and gently watching your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Yes, you have to practice self-observation to catch the mean liar voices, to change your internal dialogue. That's what fixes self-hatred. What people usually do is they start trying to get the people around them to stop being shitty to them. And what people don't realize is there's a spiritual law that whatever you say to yourself about yourself determines your place in this world. So if you've been calling yourself inside your head stupid, lazy, and you don't even notice it after so many years of doing it, I'm dumb, I'm lazy, I'm fat, I'm not muscular enough, not strong enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve love, then you'll attract people that match what you're saying to yourself. In fact, when I'm doing child family counseling and I have parents come in on their own sometimes, usually first, I have the parents come in and they say, my teen is saying this to me, or even my little kid is saying this to me, really mean things. And I say, okay, we're going to talk about self-talk. Help me understand what you say to yourself about yourself that's unkind. Oh, I say this and this. I pick on myself all the time. And I'm like, they pick it up through osmosis, even if you never say it out loud. And your kid will start saying to you the mean things that you say to you. And so will your mate. So, hair sticking on the side. So really important. So to your question, Megan, how do people, can you like completely fix yourself and then go into a beloved relationship? Or can you find somebody that is thoroughly actualized, self-actualized through and through, and then get into a love relationship? And if you wait for that, you're going to be waiting a really long time, because you can do a whole lot of work on yourself, and then as an individual in your own bubble of yourself, or with your teacher or your fellow students, and do that work. But as soon as you get into a beloved relationship, anything that was so deeply hidden, that was dormant in there, will be triggered. The closer you get to another person, the more that dormant stuff will be triggered. And we used to say at Omega Vector, which is a really fantastic free weekend self-awareness workshop that we are restarting, and it'll be up and running in just a couple of months because we're almost through the facilitator training. We used to say if it's on its way up, it's on its way out. So don't push it back down, or don't say stop doing X because you're triggering it. I mean, I take that back. It's okay for you to say to a beloved, when you do such and such, it lands with me like this. And then if you're both adult enough, you have an opportunity to take a look at it. Well, is it you, is it me, or is it the combination of us recycling this particular pattern, whatever pattern? So back to the infidelity. So great question. Thank you for that question. Back to the infidelity. So there's two things. There's a specific thing that will determine whether a couple can heal after an infidelity. This is what I've noticed after 27 years of counseling, helping couples with infidelities. So this one question will determine if they can bounce back from it. The question is, did you confess the infidelity, or did you get caught? The beloved that got cheated on knows that if they caught you, they know in the back of their mind, even if they don't want to admit it out loud, that they don't know, number one, if you would have ever told them, and number two, all the 100 other things you probably did and didn't tell them that they didn't find. That's why it's so hard. Now, if someone had an infidelity and it was like a one-time thing, and they come to their mate and they say, 2 days ago or over this past weekend when I was, at that thing, I don't know what happened. I cheated on you. I slept with somebody and I feel horrible and it's eating me up inside, and I need you to know. I need to tell you about it, and I need us to go to counseling and really work on it, and I'm going to find a way to make this up to you, and it's never happened before and it'll never happen again, and I don't have a pattern of cheating in my past relationships, and I can't believe I did this. I feel horrible. Now that couple has a chance to heal from that infidelity. So, but even that couple, it's going to be 50-50 if they can come back from that. These are just my own personal statistics that I've noticed in my own practice. But a beloved who got caught cheating, this is really sad to say, but I've never seen those couples make it. Not even once. Not even once.
So it sounds like to me that the reason that they may not work out in every time that you've noticed it is because they don't have that communication, they don't have that maturity. So if they don't have it then, they obviously have a lot of work to do, and it's probably not worth mending at that point for some people, of course. Not to say that it's impossible, right? But it sounds like that maturity was never there, which is why it happened in the first place.
Right. And also the sad thing about that type of situation is the person who got cheated on is running a certain amount of denial.
Right.
And it can take them a long time to realize, wow, you really fucked me over. Go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes even though they know they were cheated on, they still don't want to let go of the relationship. And then, sorry, I cracked my knuckles for taking that one out too. And that person usually gets cheated on again. What were you going to say, Megan?
Well, I would just think that a lot of people that go to counseling, I mean, it's so hard. Not everyone has the fortitude to work on themselves and to go inside and to want to heal themselves.
Correct.
You know, we live in a Band-Aid society. We want to pop a pill or go to a counselor and have you fix it. And really what they mean is, I want you to fix the other person. And that other person wants you to fix the other person. And so nobody really wants to work on themselves, right?
Well, I mean, not the people that see me.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm a very loving, strict counselor.
Right. But, I mean, for the success rate, for the marriage to
In
work
general.
out, both people will have to want to work not
Oh,
only on the relationship,
yeah.
but on themselves.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes hard
You're right.
to find people who are set in their ways who want to work on themselves.
So that's, Megan, kind of where the proof is in the pudding, because here's what I mean by I'm a strict counselor. When a couple contacts me to schedule a session, I've learned from doing it for 27 years, and also now I'm 60. Now I'm 60, so I'm less likely to put up with bullshit. You know, so if people want to come and just kind of complain about each other, I don't do that. So I ask them before they schedule, what are the main issues you're working on? And I also say, watch these videos. And they get my free, by the way, anybody watching this, just ask me, text me, and I'll send you my top 3 couples educational videos. Healthy communication, healing old wounds, and bonding exercises for couples. So they have to watch, I tell them, you must watch these 3 videos before you come in for your session. Now, if there's an infidelity, I usually send another 1 or 2 videos that they have to watch. If when they get into session, one or both of them haven't watched the videos, I tell them I only work with people that are serious about the work. Otherwise, we're wasting your money and our time. And I'm not one of those therapists that's into people paying them for years for therapy for, sitting and talking. I'm not interested in that.
So, when I had my hysterectomy, and everything goes crazy hormonally.
Yes.
Well, they said they were going to put me on hormones, blah, blah. I wanted to start working out and getting back into bodybuilding again and build up muscle. So they were going to give me estrogen and testosterone, and I asked the doctor to double my testosterone, which he did. I started going crazy sexually, so my sex drive was through the roof, crazy, online all the time, and it was just I suddenly had this, I immediately got off of it. I dropped down to using no hormones at all, and I'm totally happy and fine, but what happened was I was just going absolutely insane because I had this testosterone. So it gave me this compassion for men, men who can put the reins on that and keep that tampered down.
Yeah.
Wow. Because
that's such a good
seriously,
point.
It was uncontrollable. I was anytime, anywhere, I don't care. It would not. I can't even tell you. I've never been that crazy before. And I'm
Such a
is
good
this how
point.
men feel? So I can understand if they cheat. My God, when you have that kind of drive, it's like a wild animal inside of you.
So let's talk about that. I'm so glad you said that story, Megan, because it's right to the point of, first of all, let's have more compassion for men who have learned about redirecting their sexual energy up their center line. Mm-hmm. Men, tantra men, enlightened men, men who practice sacred sexuality, men who can send all that sexual energy up their center line so it charges up their heart chakra, to sound a little, woo-woo for a second. So men who can do that, men who have learned how to have a full body feminine orgasm that could go for 15 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour or a day or 3 days. A man who learns how to have an extended full body feminine orgasm like that is just rolling for days, that empowers his life with his sensuality, sexuality, and his love. That is a man that knows how to pierce the feminine mood with his love. That is a man who knows how to ravish and ravage the feminine and rip her open to God. So really important things that David Deida talks about all the time. David Deida, The Way of the Superior Man, which is a brilliant book that everyone should read. So David Deida is obviously a Tantra man, and he talks about how to redirect sexual energy. He doesn't teach the Tantra, but you can tell by his language that he's learned it. So that is a great point, Megan. So a man who is running, David Deida even talks about this too, a man who is running his sexual energy, who's in love with his woman, who has a monogamous commitment, might be in line at the grocery store, standing behind a beautiful woman with a beautiful ass. So when this enlightened, sexy man, who has all the sexual energy, testosterone coursing through him, his eyes happen to fall upon this gorgeous woman's sexy ass, big, nice, juicy ass, right in front of him at the grocery store. He will see it, and something different will happen in him, in the mature man, than in the immature man. The immature man will start running this energy of, gotta get me that. Gotta get me some of that. How do I jump on that? How do I monkey jump, bitch slap, donkey fuck that woman? Look at that ass. That's what that man will do. This mature man, in his sensual sexual energy, running it up his center line, will see that beautiful ass, and he will linger on it with his eyes, and he will drink that ass in just like the sunset.
This needs to be a rap song, by the way. Like the sunset. Let's send that to Kanye.
And when, yeah. And when he's looking at this woman's rear end, he's enraptured with the beauty, the curve, the gently sloping, sexy, sensual energy of the feminine. So it isn't about that ass and getting my dick in there. It's about this incredible, infinite, creative, inspiring, feminine power. It's a different experience. And that man will go right back to taking that energy to his beloved, to his woman. And that sensual feminine beauty, because a man, sees the feminine walking around, and it's just like, if it's a grown-up man, a mature man, it'll charge him up with love and desire for his woman. A man in the immature will be like, I have to have that and that and that and that and that, and he'll eat everything on the table at the smorgasbord, and then instead of being enlightened after sex, he will just be full and bloated and and just more asleep, in more of a sleep state. So
well, this is all a beautiful concept, but what percentage of men do you think are like that?
Small.
Yeah.
Very small percentage of men even understand enlightenment. There's a movie I want to recommend. It's called Don John's Addiction.
I watched that.
Don John's Addiction. Jon. Don John's Addiction. Joseph Gordon-Levitt wrote, directed, and stars in that movie. brilliant movie about sexual addiction and how, like, he wakes up every day and he jacks off. And then he goes and he works out. And then he meets a cute girl and then he tries to screw her.
He gets porn addicted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of my practice, I used to, my place was on Highland and 16th Street, which is right up the road from the Highlighter strip joint.
Oh, okay.
And one of those women there found her way to my practice, and they are a tight-knit bunch. And so I had a lot of exotic dancers in my counseling practice. We're talking about 27 years ago. And what was funny at the same time was a cop found her way to my practice and then told her cop friends, because they're tight-knit. So a lot of times there would be a stripper leaving with a cop passing by her. So I had to teach strippers how to dance. I mean, I didn't like dance. Well, sometimes I did because I'm a trained belly dancer. But I had to teach the strippers how to dance in a way that they would feel empowered and in a way that caused awakening in the men that were viewing them, instead of putting those men into more of a sleep state. They were dancing with more presence. And those strippers that I taught got bigger tips. They made more money. Big tips.
Wow.
So that's an important point that you made about you have more compassion for men because they're driven by this. It is a drug in the body, testosterone. So you understand that when a man is running testosterone and he's feeling turned on and, he's during those times in his life, those years and years where he's peaked sexually. And the saddest invention ever is Viagra, because now a man is finally slowing down to the same speed as his woman. And now he can actually understand why more foreplay is a handy thing. It's a good thing. More foreplay. It takes him longer to become turgid, erect. It takes him longer to orgasm. Now he's more in the time of his life where he's more in his feminine power, understanding the feminine way of sex. So this testosterone, just like you said, it's a drug. It's a drug, period. So when a man can't understand why his woman's so emotional and he tells her, calm down, really calm down. And I say, I want you, this is going to be my new analogy, because my analogy used to be, okay, dude, imagine if I lined up 8 shots of tequila, told you to down them one after the next, and now I want you to walk on a straight line and say the alphabet backwards and stand on one foot and touch your nose with your eyes closed. You couldn't, because of the chemicals that are now in your body from the tequila. I tell them it's like that. So telling your woman, calm down, when she's the ocean. Don't stop trying to fit her into the bathtub. So she's not only got a menstrual cycle, which connects her with the turn of the tides and the changing of the moon, but she's got this big corpus callosum connecting the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So the feminine is thinking and feeling at the same time all the time. So it's a different body and it's a different body chemistry. So when you tell her to calm down, it's like me saying, walk that straight line after 8 shots of tequila. You can't, because of the chemistry, the chemicals in your body. So that's going to be my new analogy. Imagine you're horny and I say, just calm that shit down. Just calm the fuck down. So the other point is, even though we have all this body chemistry going on, and I've had this conversation with astrology friends, we have our tendencies based on our body chemistry and brain and programming and childhood and trauma. We have our tendencies. Enlightenment is desired because enlightenment brings us up, out, and above all of our body tendencies. So to be able to sit up on the curtain rod, gently watch your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and decide, okay, I can see myself heading down that road that always ends up with potholes and eventually a huge ditch where my car falls in, where I get stuck. And I have to start all over again, and I have to get a new job, or I have to, get divorced, or start a new relationship where I have to, talk to Child Protective Services or something. Things that people do when they see themselves heading down that same road, because of their tendencies, physical, mental, emotional tendencies. This is why we want enlightenment, so that we can rise above all of our mental, emotional, physical tendencies that pull us. Because you have your astrological sign that I don't know about this, so I shouldn't talk about it. But yeah, people have an astrology sign and they have certain tendencies.
An Enneagram.
Enneagram, that pull you in certain directions, but still, that doesn't have to be in charge of you. Mm-hmm. So the one of the most wonderful kinds of people that you can be in a beloved relationship with is a person where both people, are practicing self-observation, noticing when they're doing their automatic behaviors, noticing it in themselves and letting their partner know, calling their partner on their shit, and having each of you being able to have the mental emotional maturity to say, okay, you know what, you're right. I'm doing my pattern. Thank you for letting me know. I'll take a look at that. And then the next step is not guilt. Not guilt. Oh my gosh, when I felt angry because I thought the dog weed on the floor, and then I realized later that was my tea. Mm-hmm. And even though I didn't bark at her or punish her, in my heart, I was angry at her because I forgot I spilled tea on the carpet. I was running. I was late for a thing. Oh, I said to myself, I want to be a better mommy. I don't want to be the mommy that gets angry when the doggy makes a mistake. Because I thought it was her and it was me. So that's so can we all be enlightened first and then get into a beloved relationship? I don't know, maybe if you dated Jesus Christ or Mahatma Gandhi or somebody, but even those guys weren't good to date because they were all focused on how to serve the people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it just seems like a magic formula to find people who are on the same wavelength working on those things. I mean, it just so rare. And maybe that's why they do say that those long-term monogamous beautiful relationships are so very rare, because not that many people are evolving,
right,
or working on themselves. And then to find two random people who are working on themselves and they end up together, wow.
So is it rare? I think it is rare because, and you can find more people that are more like-minded if you hang out places like Omega. I used to meet a lot of like-minded people, Omega Vector, and different self-awareness facilities.
Right.
Places where people are devoted to self-awareness. Mm-hmm. But then you have to be aware of those people that will damage you with that. Mm-hmm. It's the self-awareness junkies that make other people wrong for not doing it or not being aware. Mm-hmm. But I think those relationships, the reason why they're rare is because it's so easy to incur so much damage growing up. It's so easy. Life is so fraught with pitfalls and traps where you will get stuck and abused, and that can stay with you. And so, I mean, fortunately, there's an easy way to heal that. People can use my brief therapy technique for healing childhood trauma to heal that. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's part of the journey.
And I think most of the time, people aren't aware of those issues. They didn't realize that they were traumatized, and this is the cause and effect of that. Yeah. And I think that's why it can be rare, because it's like, oh, I realized 15 years down the road that this was my tendency, and I was doing that, and then I looked for help, and then I started working on myself and all that stuff. So it sounds like it could be a long road. Right.
It's part of the journey.
Right.
And I just realized we have like 1 minute to wrap it up. So, but that's a really good point, Holly. The pitfalls, the traumas. I used to say this all the time. So I used to say, when a client comes in and sits down on my couch, I can tell exactly what they will be master of, because it is your lumps of coal from your life traumas that when we heal them and from under tons of pressure from life, those become your diamonds. So it is true that your traumas do become what you are master of. They become your strengths. They become what you are teacher of. So profound. And it's all part of the journey. So I don't ever want to hear anybody say, why didn't I figure this out 15 years ago? I got divorced. My family broke up. My kids have to go between households. Because that wasn't the way it was meant to go. It was meant to go the way it went. And it's all part of the journey. So picking on yourself really doesn't help anything. So the last thing I'll say is love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. Mercy, mercy, mercy on you. It's a hard journey, but some of it's really fun.
Awesome, Jane. Yay.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. All right.